Welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webcast, Post-Secondary Transition Begins in Kindergarten. My name is Karen Akom, and I'm so happy to be joined by my colleague, Carolyn Cage. Carolyn and I are pleased to serve as Transition Associates for the Center on Transition Innovations. Our center provides information, resources, demonstration, and research to generate evidence-based practices to support youth with disabilities, their families, educators, and communities in the successful transition to their post-secondary lives. We were founded in 2013 and are funded by the Virginia Department of Education. Our mission and work are captured within our statewide portal of transition resources, including courses, webcasts, videos, and publications on effective transition practices. We put research to practice through our innovative demonstration projects, whether it's a model of school to work transition in our Start on Success or Project Search programs, or person-centered assessment with our Discovering Need process. Everything that we do is with the goal of increasing outcomes for students in every aspect of their lives. We have 3 participant learning objectives today. At the end of our time together, participants will understand that transition is a process, recognize when transition activities should begin, and identify and access strategies and resources to implement transition planning K through 12. During the webcast, Carolyn and I will share suggestions for activities and resources, all of which will be available to you at the conclusion of the webcast.
As Karen said, I'm Carolyn Cage, and I have the privilege of working with the wonderful team at VCU, Center on Transition Innovations. Now, Merriam-Webster defines transition as a change or shift from one state, subject, or place to another. As educators, we're all familiar with the vertical transition from preschool to elementary, middle to high school, and beyond. However, special educators have 2 transition mandates. The first is under Part C of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, where students go from receiving early childhood interventions to public school services and eligibility for an IEP. The second transition occurs by preparing students for the shift from secondary school to post-secondary adult environments. This process requires a team to develop post-secondary goals in the areas of education and training, employment, and when appropriate, independent living based upon age-appropriate transition assessments. High-quality transition planning addresses the path from assessment to goals to outcome. It is a student-centered, strength-based process that must be completed for all students, not just those with high support needs, and to be truly effective, considers the needs of diverse groups of students and their families. In Virginia, transition begins at age 14, but it is important to note that in order to achieve desired post-school outcomes, transition planning must be a longitudinal process that can begin with eligibility for special education as early as age 2.
It's hard to imagine thinking about life after high school on a student's first day of kindergarten. But let's look at how kindergarten and post-secondary success are truly tied together. Let's take a look at the tree of influence. This flowchart shows how everything is connected. Here's one example. Start with general education at the bottom. Moving up, parent involvement is connected with child find and eligibility. How a student is served in preschool informs how they are served in elementary. And how a student is served in elementary school contributes to decisions about which state assessments they participate in. Early decisions about assessments guide possible diploma options, which in turn affect graduation status and post-school outcome. As you can see, decisions made early in a student's career can and do impact their trajectory through school and beyond. Now that we have a better understanding about why we need to begin with the end in mind, let's explore how to work on transition skills as early as possible. The National Technical Assistance Center on Transition, the Collaborative, has put together a list of predictors that influence post-school outcomes. This list is valuable in many ways. It categorizes each predictor by which area or areas of post-school it impacts: education, employment, or independent living. Additionally, these practices are listed by their value as either research-based, evidence-based, or promising. This organization can really help educators determine what transition lessons and activities will have the greatest impact for their students. For example, if you look at this chart, you'll see that goal setting is a research-based practice that impacts education, employment, and independent living. So the earlier we begin working with students on setting their own goals and working to reach them, the more impact we're having on their potential as they progress towards their transition to the post-secondary world. The list includes everything from career awareness all the way down to youth autonomy and decision-making. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to put these predictors into practice at different levels. Because this list can also help practitioners visualize what practices they are already implementing and how and when they could implement others. As we're thinking about when transition services and activities should begin, we would like for you to think about what you can do to facilitate a discussion about these predictors and when thinking about transition should begin. One activity we suggest to do this is to show how early transition activities can begin with a quick sort. This activity is best completed in a group setting and can be done as a hands-on, in-person activity or virtually using an app such as Jamboard. The materials you need to have on hand or available digitally are the sort sheet and that predictor list separated into individual strips. Let's take a look at the sort sheet. To begin this activity, divide the larger group into small groups or pairs and provide each with a copy of the sort sheet. As you can see, the sort sheet has 4 columns: preschool and early childhood, elementary, middle, and high. Each group should also be given all of the predictors cut individually. Give each group about 7 to 10 minutes to place each predictor in the column that represents where they think that practice should begin. For example, the top predictor on the list of predictors is career awareness. Think about, when should students begin thinking about careers and becoming aware of careers? Well, I know that a discussion of community helpers begins as early as preschool or kindergarten. So I would place career awareness in the early childhood or elementary column. Once the groups have finished the sort, they should share how they sorted the predictors. The facilitator can ask groups to share out how many predictors they sorted into the high school column. and ask the group with either the highest or lowest number of predictors in that column how they determined where to put the predictors. Then ask if other groups sorted the same way or differently. Encourage discussion about why participants sorted predictors into certain columns.
We believe that the sort activity that Karen shared reveals that it's not necessary or even beneficial to wait until middle or high school to address the areas that contribute to successful post-school outcomes. Even though transition is mandated by law, statistics show that individuals with disabilities are less likely to experience favorable outcomes in the areas of post-secondary education, employment, and independent living than their peers without disabilities. Therefore, it's essential to start the process early and throughout students' educational journey. One resource that can assist educators with preparing students and families for life beyond school is the Vertical Transitions to Prepare for Post-School Success tool. It was developed by combining the Council for Exceptional Children's Division for Early Childhood's recommended practices and the National Technical Assistance Center on Transition Collaborative's effective transition practices. IEP teams can use the appropriate section of the toolkit during each vertical transition from one educational setting to another. The toolkit provides action steps to be completed that are independent of the IEP meeting and provides the opportunity to address post-secondary outcomes early and often. So to make the connection between the vertical transition tool and the predictors for post-school success, we invite you to try another activity using those predictor categories. The activity can be performed by partners, small or large groups, divided according to those transitional grade levels. In other words, early childhood, primary, secondary, and post-school. Each group is given a copy of the appropriate grade level vertical tool and instructed to review the activities and determine which predictors for post-school success are addressed. We suggest to allow approximately 10 minutes and then have groups report results. Discuss what areas were addressed at each educational level and why they felt the category or categories selected were appropriate. Ask group participants if they have done any of the activities in their efforts to support students and families previously and reiterate the impact that they can have on post-secondary outcomes. Because the concept of vertical transition planning may still prove challenging to educators at lower grades, we would like to share some resources that can be used at every grade level to prepare students for post-secondary education, employment, and independent living. One resource we encourage you to review is Zello's Career Exploration Activities, 9 engaging career exploration activities to introduce in your K through 12 classroom. This free ebook, formerly known as Career Cruising, provides engaging, age-appropriate classroom exercises for your elementary, middle, and high school students, along with detailed instructional planning and lesson delivery for educators. Teachers can use the activities in this ebook to supplement lesson plans for core content that address state standards while providing transition-related instruction. For example, an activity for elementary school students is the Me Collage. Now, this is an activity that is a variation of an About Me assignment that's often used or assigned during the first week of school and allows students to create a personal collage to help identify their interests, strengths, traits, and other characteristics, as well as give them the opportunity to reflect on the diversity of their peers and respect others' interests. For middle school students, there is an interview or professional activity. This is where they can seek a relative, family, friend, or even school staff to gain insight into a career of interest, or just ask questions about employment in general. Many of you may already be familiar with I'm Determined resources. The I'm Determined project is a state-directed project funded by the Virginia Department of Education. It focuses on providing direct instruction, models, and opportunities to practice skills associated with self-determination and self-advocacy. There are resources available for youth, educators, and families from early childhood through high school and into adulthood. Finally, VCU's Center on Transition Innovations offers a host of resources to build educators' capacity to provide high-quality transition planning and services. We encourage you to visit our website where you will find more free resources, including online courses, publications, toolkits, videos, and webinars to support effective practice in transition planning for educators, students, families, and other stakeholders. To assist you with transition planning from kindergarten through high school, scan the QR code or click on the link provided in the resource section of this webcast. There you will find a hyperdoc that provides links to free transition assessments and free CTI publications, videos, and webcasts and online courses. These can benefit educators who serve students with disabilities at all grade levels. And here you will see a folder with all of the resources that we have just shared today. And we invite you to take advantage of using all for your students K through 12.
Join us in our continuing conversations about transition best practices and opportunities through any of our social media channels. Thank you for your time today.